Step 6, treat yourself. I know it seems somewhat odd that we're going to talk about celebrating victories and how to reward yourself before you really even feel that you've begun on your financial independence journey. But understand that this is so important to keeping on track and making sure that you're motivated and you don't lose sight of what you're working towards. Because setting goals is one thing, but achieving them is an entirely different matter. Goals are really easy to set. It's really easy for you to say, well, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I'm going to save $10,000. I'm going to pay off my student loans, things like that. But the problem is we make these goals and then we find that they're difficult to achieve. They require real commitment and dedication and a daily grind towards that objective. Without proper ways to reinforce progress, without finding ways to celebrate your victories, and especially when goals are sort of in a binary of, I'm going to save this amount of money, or I'm going to stop doing this. Well, it's a very black and white situation where you either achieve that goal or you don't. But the problem is, if you look at it that way and you look at these big problems like this, these big goals, well, it does require an all or nothing attitude. But going back to the last step where we talked about how you can stand at the base of a mountain and say, how am I getting up there? Well, you need to keep yourself motivated during the climb. You need to say, all right, I've reached 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet, 5,000 feet, etc. And going back to the last step where we talked about your higher order, higher thinking human brain versus your lower order, lower thinking primate brain. Well, unfortunately, your primate brain is addicted to dopamine. This is the part of the brain that gets so many people in trouble when they find themselves addicted to cigarettes or fast food or spending money or things like that. So I know this step seems somewhat silly and somewhat small, especially on the road to financial progress and independence, but understand that this step will define whether you are successful or not, and whether you stay successful or not too. Because you see, you have to program your lower order subconscious brain to be motivated and have that dopamine high from achieving the small attainable goals that you've set. You need to reprogram your brain to be structured around your obtainable goals. For example, if you want to reduce the amount that you spend per month, you need to have a visceral reaction every time you spend money. Maybe this is extreme, and it kind of is. But at the same time, if you end the day and you haven't spent money, or you've only spent it on things you really need, finding a way to motivate yourself and celebrate that victory and do it every day, that is going to keep you motivated, because it is so easy to slip back into the default status quo that we've been taught as consumers and customers, where we receive a dopamine high by spending money. So the thing is, you're not going to change this overnight. This is a lifelong journey that is going to take lots of dedication and recognition of what you're doing or not doing. And this is very dependent on the structure of your brain. But finding ways to enforce this will make you a master of money management. So for the Ready Set plan of this step, I want you to go back and look at the goals that you made now that you broke them into smaller steps like we did in the last step, and attach small victories or clear celebration moments to each of them. To go back to our example of saving $10,000, well, when you get the first $100, when you get the first $500, when you get the first $1,000 in the bank account, and certainly once you achieve the goal, having celebration moments at each of those, that will help keep you on track and especially motivate you through the tough times. Not only that, it will remind you of how far you've come and allow you to create memories around the feeling of doing things with purpose, sticking to your goals, programming your mindset around achieving them.